Hi everyone, I'm Tracy, your host for Chandler's Channel, and today's session is our topic of the week, and our topic of the week is cancer. So if that's what you're here for, I'm going to go get Whitehawk momentarily. So our last topic of the week was the law of attraction, a very exciting topic. He was teaching us to be mindful of our thoughts, mindful consciousness, he calls it, and that indeed, careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And it does go both ways, right? Because if you think bad thoughts, then indeed that can occur. But, if you think good thoughts, indeed that too can occur. So, which one are you going to choose? Well, I know I would work on the positive thoughts, which indeed I very much am. And, for those people who are stuck and moving forward, it is a challenge, but keep those thoughts positive, keep that mental outlook positive, and we'll break through that barrier together in attracting a lot of abundance and good into our life. Okay, so let's go get Whitehawk and see what he says about our topic of the week this week, which is cancer. And right away, JC lets me know that he's here. So I'm going to go in and get Whitehawk first, and then JC comes along, and we'll see who's going to speak to us regarding this very sensitive subject. Indeed, Whitehawk starts. This is indeed a very sensitive subject for many, if not all. And I just feel so much sadness surrounding this. And so he says, I'm going to hand off this reading, he says, to the Master, he says, whom, well, during this time period, he says, everyone wants to talk to, so let's give it to him, he says. So Jesus, whom I lovingly call JC, appears, and he goes, yes, thank you. And, sorry, he says, no, that my child, there is a reason for that. He says, you feel that in the back of your throat. He says, you feel that dryness. You feel that that attentiveness. It wants you to take note. It wants you to pay attention to it, he says. And what it is there are those who have suffered at the hands of cancer, and there are those who are suffering at the hands of cancer, he says, and there are those who will be suffering at the hands of cancer, he says, who have arrived for this reading. And God bless them all, he says, for we note that you are here. I know, he says, you are here, my children, and blessed be for that. For indeed, I would want you to be here. And so as he says that, he's paddling in a boat, nothing more than like an aluminum fishing boat, and he paddles on the one side. He is the one paddling through the water. And I hear, Michael, row your boat ashore, hallelujah. Michael, row your boat ashore, hallelujah. And he is paddling towards the shore, and everyone is waiting for him on the shore on a hill. There's like a hill, and so everyone is coming out of, there's a forest back there. And so they're coming out of the forest, and they're coming to sit on the hill at the shore, awaiting Jesus' arrival to speak with them. And there is much sadness, but there is also much wonderment, so much, I don't know, it's Jesus, he's coming to the shore. How do you describe that feeling? Awe. People can't wait to hear him and see him and feel him and taste him, and you just feel so blessed that he has come. And so he gets out of the boat and he pulls the boat ashore, and that's so funny. You think maybe everybody would come running to him, because if there ever was a celebrity, right? I mean, it is him. And he says, "Now, children," he addresses everyone. Says, "Now, children, do not be afraid. Do not idolize me either," he says. "I am your father, indeed," he says, "but more than that, I am your friend," he says. "So come in a little closer," he says. And so he invites everybody in a little closer, and so indeed, of course, they do come in closer. And they form a circle around him, so he's in the center of the circle. Indeed. "Welcome," he says, "welcome. I have waited many moons," he says, "many years, to speak to you surrounding this subject of cancer," he says. "So let me start by saying, you are all beautiful," he says, "and you are all children. You are all my children," he says, "none more favorited," he says, than another. "I love you all very deeply," he says, "very spiritually, very giftedly," he says. And he puts his hands like to his heart like this, and he goes like this, and then a dove appears, and then the dove flies up and away. "Yes," he says, "cancer. It has affected you all in some way, has it not? N'est-ce pas?" he says. And everyone kind of shakes their head or looks at each other in agreement. Yes. Indeed, we could call it the disease of the century, could we not? Yes, everybody nods their head. And it will continue unless we do something about it here today. I am not telling you, my children, to go out and purchase this or to purchase that, nor am I telling you that this disease is going to go away miraculously, for it is not. It is here to stay if we allow it to stay, for indeed it immensely wants to stay. For the power for it here is immense. It is grave, he says, and it knows it, and it feeds. It feeds on the fear of its very name, cancer. And he says, say it with me, children. Cancer. He says, say it louder. It wants to know that you are here and that you're saying it. So everyone says, cancer. That's right, children. Heed those words, cancer, because it knows that you know that it is here. And it will continue to be here for the fear that we have implied upon it, for the power that we give it in its very core, in its very center, he says. But for as long as you give it that power, for that word, that C word, he says, it will remain here. Oh no, it will not stagnate. It will not stagnate. It will remain here, and it will remain strong in our societal values and culture, he says. Cultural values. It will remain here. And so there's so many people, it's like he's looking around to like an audience of people, and everyone is so quiet listening to him. And people are taking it in, and it kind of scares them even more to hear him say that. Yet, you know, they know it's the truth. They know it's the truth. You give it power, GC continues. You give cancer power, he says, by fearing it. Do not fear cancer. Do not give it the power. It is the bully in the playground. Do not give it power. Do not fear it, children. Do not fear it. Are you listening? And they're like, yes, Father. Amen. He says, do not fear it. Are you listening to me, children? I cannot give you the key to its prevention without you hearing what it is that I am speaking here today to say to you. I am telling you, do not fear it. For if you fear it, it will remain prevalent in our society for years, decades, many a years to come, if you give it that power. It is just a small seed. It is just a small cell, he says. But when you give it the power that it requires to multiply, it does. And it's like, I see this little seed, or I see this little cell, and then I see it turn black, and then I see it increase in size, like tumors or bubbles, you know. I mean, it's not pretty, right, if you're to see it. He says, that is right. It is not pretty, he says. But what I'm here and trying to tell you is I am giving you the key. I am giving you the antidote, he says, as to how to stop it from spreading through our society like a wildfire, he says. It is like a wildfire. So he says, I want you to stare it in the face. I want you to stare it down in the face as you would a bully in the playground. I want you to confront it. I do not want you to be mean and bully back, he says, but I want you to confront it like you confront a bully in the playground and say, no more, not today. You are not welcome in my playground. You are not welcome. I do not fear you. You cannot take my spirit away. Oh yes, you may be able to take my body. You may be able to take my family, but you cannot take my spirit away. And therefore, you lose. You lose, cancer. Do you see why you lose? For I get to see my Father. I get to see my Father. You cannot have my spirit. You cannot have my soul. And therefore, cancer, you lose. And then everyone in the crowd is like erupting. They're like, whoa, yes, cancer! You know, it's like, get cancer! Not as in get it yourself, but like, let's get it. Let's break it down. It's not allowed in our playgrounds. It's not allowed in our neighborhoods. It is not allowed in our families. Get it. Get it. Tell it is not welcome here. And so everybody gets up and they're joyful and they're motivated and they have the antidote and they're going to move forward and they are going to face the bully of the playground, for they are no longer afraid of it and they are tired of being afraid of it, and they just want to put a stop to it. And so they go off, and then it is just me, Jesus, and a little girl hanging around on the shore. And well, she's actually quite a little girl. I mean, she's, you know, a toddler. She's just crawling, and she has brown hair and pigtails. And he picks her up. And it's like she says to him, so she can't be that young unless she's quite an early talker. She says to Jesus, Dada, and she pats him on the head, you know, Dada, Dada. And he says, yes, little one, well done. And they nuzzle noses together, and she just hugs him and And there's just this wash of joy that overcomes me and overcomes them, and it's just lovely. And so he's holding her in his arms, and he puts his arm around me and moves me in closer. And it's like I'm going to start to tear up, right? And he says, "Thank you, little one. Thank you." And he, gives me this on my head. He says, "Thank you." He's not crying, it's me, by the way. He goes, "Thank you, little one, for giving me this this opportunity to speak to the children of the world who are in so desperate need to hear from me at such a time of suffering and need." He says, "Now, go forward," he says, "move forward and play, little one. Go forward, move forward and play. God bless." And he walks down the shore with this little girl in his hands. Thank you, Jesus. Well, there you go. That's something new. You haven't seen me cry in a reading yet. Not to say that I don't, because, being clairsentient means I'm feeling. So I feel other people's feelings, and I feel that's how the messages come through to me. But of course, I would be very feeling if I was to ever meet Jesus, and wouldn't we all? So there you go. I will leave you with your own thoughts, and I just want to share with you that after that reading, I've just seen a hummingbird leave my garden. So what a nice symbol, nice symbolism for me. So God bless. I'm Tracy for a Channelers Channel. We'll see you next week for our weekly reading. Bye for now.